Hello everybody and welcome to the Import-Export Hub channel. Bogdan here, your not so entertaining host for the next couple of minutes. I hope that everybody is doing great, and without asking you to hit the like and the subscribe buttons, let's take a look at 5 products that personally I think are worth importing from Indonesia. We will see together Indonesia's main trading partners together with the values, of course. And where possible, I will try to pinpoint the main driver for a particular country. So let's start with my first recommendation, which is coming from heading 1605, crustaceans, mollusks, and other aquatic invertebrates prepared or preserved, excluding the smoked ones. Try to obtain yourselves from laughing at me if I've mispronounced any words. Sorry guys in advance. Indonesia here has an absolute advantage, and we see a nice upward trend in this 2017-2021 time frame, with 2021 having the largest amount, some $1.2 billion, with the United States here, Japan, and the United Kingdom as the main partners, which were followed by other important ones like, I don't know, Canada, Italy, or Australia, to name a couple from this top 10 list. The exports towards the United States represent some 83% of Indonesia's total exports from this heading. Extremely concentrated, if you ask me. I think that there are a lot of US foreign direct investments in Indonesia in this particular sector. So even though Indonesia it's putting almost all eggs in one basket, so to say, the United States in this case, I think that this is a two-way street in which both parties have to, I don't know, cooperate and benefit from this close relationship. Now, relative to the year-on-year changes, we see that almost all the top 10 partners registered positive figures, except here Australia, Canada, and also the Netherlands. The latter having the biggest contraction, at least in absolute terms, some $8.5 million. But on the other hand, we have strong positive changes coming from United Kingdom, Japan, and the United States as well. The latter having a year-on-year absolute positive change of almost $282 million, which is absolutely crazy. As for the main drivers, well, towards the Netherlands, the main one was subheading 160520, so we are talking here about shrimps and prawns, while towards the United States we have prepared or preserved crab, so subheading 160510. Trying to control my drooling mouth now, I will move to my second recommendation. It's coming from heading 6404. Basically footwear, as Indonesia has a big competitive advantage. Personally, I think that it has a bigger competitive advantage than China right now, and the trend will continue. So low wages coupled with a big pool of people, basically, in which we see again a nice upward momentum, at least from 2016 onwards, with 2021 here registering some $2.5 billion worth of exports, with the United States, China, and Germany as the main partners, followed by other important ones like, I don't know, Belgium, Mexico, or South Korea. Overall, the year-on-year change was positive, some 23% in relative terms, and some $474.5 million in absolute ones, with almost all the top 10 partners having positive figures, except South Korea here, who had a 1.3% contraction. The United States are again dominating the trade relation with Indonesia from this heading, some 31.4% share in Indonesia's exports from this particular heading, and also had the largest absolute positive change of roughly $210 million. Relative to the main drivers, we see that for both Germany and Mexico, we have subheading 640411, so basically we're talking about sports footwear. Jumping now to my third recommendation. We're entering the land of dreams, if you want, as we have here heading 9404. So mattresses, supports, quilts, pillows, and the like, in which we see again a nice upward trend from 2018 onwards, with 2021 registering the largest value of roughly $422 million, with the United States, Singapore, and Japan as the main trading partners, which were followed by, I don't know, Denmark, Timor-Leste, or East Timor, or Malaysia. Again, to name just a few from this top 10 list. And speaking of top 10, these partners make up for some 98% of Indonesia's exports from this heading, with the United States alone having 90%, which is again very, very concentrated. Overall, we see that year on year, Indonesia's exports were positive, with only 3 countries from this top 10 list registering negative values, and these were Singapore, East Timor, and Malaysia. As for the main drivers, well, towards Singapore, we have here subheading 940490. Articles of bedding and similar furnishings, while towards Denmark the main driver was subheading 940421, so mattresses of cellular, rubber, or plastics, whether or not covered. Moving now, guys, to my fourth recommendation for you. Here we have cocoa butter, heading 1804, in which again Indonesia has an absolute advantage together with Malaysia. We see that in 2021 there were some $668 million worth of exports, with the United States, India, and also Estonia as the main trading partners, followed by other important ones like, I don't know, Australia, China, or the Russian Federation, to name just a few from this top 10 list. In what concerns the year-on-year changes, overall we have 15.44% contraction, some $122 million in absolute terms, mainly driven by a drop in the exported values towards the Netherlands. And I think it's worth mentioning the fact that the Netherlands and Indonesia have a long history together, and I would mention only the Dutch East Indies Company, so the so-called VOC. Right now, I think that the Netherlands has a lot of influence on the cocoa butter supply and marketing, but anyways, this is the topic for another video if you want. Now, coming back to the numbers here, I want to mention another thing that it's related to India. And personally, I think that India is going to be the next big growth pole. And we see here, with the benefit of hindsight, of course, that the trend is supporting my claim, with the exports towards India increasing steadily from 2017 onwards. As for the main drivers, sorry guys, this heading, it's not that complex, and we have for both India and Australia the same subheading, so 180400. And now guys, finally my fifth and last recommendation for you. It's coming from heading 9207, musical instruments basically. As we can see in the trend line here, we have a nice upward trend, okay, except 2020, but personally I consider 2020 as an outlier. There were some $401.2 million worth of exports in 2021, with the United States, Germany, and Japan as the biggest partners, which were followed by others like, I don't know, France or the United Arab Emirates. Relative to the year-on-year changes, we have positive figures for all the top 10 partners. The United States alone importing with some $42 million more than it did the previous year. And finally, relative to the main drivers here, we have 2 examples towards the United Kingdom and Australia. For the former, the main one was subheading 920710, keyboard instruments, while for the latter, so Australia, subheading 920790 drove most of Indonesia's exports. And with this being said, guys, these were the 5 products that I wanted to recommend you. I hope you've made it to the end. Don't forget to hit whatever button you like below this video. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.